Hello Internet, I'm Ratu, your hot mess reader, and today let's walk down memory lane and capitalize my memory and talk about Komsas, Component Sastra, or basically the literary component in the Malay language subject that is compulsory for all Malaysian students to study and take and pass in the exams. And boy, what a memory or lack thereof to go down and have a look on some of those good, the bored one, and the problematic materials of some of our classics. Bear with me about my video quality because I'm using a camera screen dual recording using through a laptop, and my laptop is not the best when it comes to resolution, and also I realized that my microphone has some technical problems, which explains why I couldn't be heard during the last booktube discussion. Anyway, bear with me if you notice why my voice is not in sync with my video. It's probably because I'm recording my voice through the phone while simultaneously recording myself on the laptop, so bear with me. Let's get down to it. Now, as a Malaysian in our Malay language subject, we are assigned or have this particular syllabus called Komsas or Component Sastra, meaning literary component, where we study the equivalent classics of your Shakespeare or Jane Austen and the likes. And for us, it's on dissecting our local classic writer and author. And what is unique about our Komsas or our syllabus, or during my time at least, is that every year from Form 1 to Form 5, we are assigned a novel and we will carry an anthology. So I don't really remember how it works, but I think my time, I studied about 2 anthologies. Now, don't get it twisted. Within one anthology, there's gonna be about a various or collection of different kind of story writing or storytelling, such as poetry, and this can be divided into modern poetry or classical poetry. We got short stories and even classic text and drama, like dialogue reading. That's very interesting. Also a pain in studying and finishing reading it. But yeah, let's just relieve the trauma and the drama of studying this component sastra to ace the test, even though it can be problematic, but that's another day to discuss. So, and when I say about the novel, so every year, because our curriculum as a secondary school is only about 5 years, so every year we will receive a novel. Mind you, this is during my time, I think up to the time period the next gen have a different set of literature component and materials. So these are the lists. Where is it? So these are some of the PMR level of novel, and for me it was assigned as Anak Timur, and that's very interesting as well because our novel is assigned differently. So for those from another state or region, will study a different kind of novel, for instance, and that will be in another website or blog that I'm gonna share, and I will also share the links of all these things that I'm gonna share with all of you, just for memory lane's sake. So let's move on. I'm gonna go through by my Form 1 to Form 5 timeline because it's easier that way. So based on this blog, I was assigned when I was in Form 1, the start of my secondary school year, is Anak Timur by Siti Aminah Haji Yusof. And let's try to have a look on the cover. So as you can see, apparently Anak Timur has come through quite a revolution of covers. As you can see, this I think is the picture of Netherlands city, the city of Netherlands. Then, wow, this feels like a classic, like older woman kind of story, adult story, but it's not. Why do they always make the teenager look older than they are? Anyway, so this is the cover I believe that I received or read during my Form 1 time. Aku Anak Timur. It's so bang up here based on this Google image. And one thing I really don't understand, this is very unjust and unfair. How come the synopsis is super short and the problematic one that I'm going to discuss later is so long? Like, the others were given some kind of effort to have a long Wikipedia page, but Aku Anak Timur, no. Okay, but basically Aku Anak Timur is the story about Zarina and her mother and her siblings going to Netherlands and to visit their dad, who is studying there at the University of Leiden. And from there, it all is all about the adventure of Zarina, exploring new places and also stumbling upon new cultures there, as well as meeting a interesting male potential of interest at the time, I believe, and learn about the culture places there as well with that particular male character. I think this story, for me personally, I really actually enjoyed it. I think it was a good coming of age story and about Zarina herself learning to cope and understand about the way the world works outside of her comfort zone and outside of her sheltered or comfort of her country, Malaysia here. Because it really is quite an interesting story where they discuss about the commentary about how people don't treat you well, which is actually racist for some parts of the story, as in her family, most likely her dad at the time when they were staying in and they were cooking. I remember this is very like an iconic scene, is that they were cooking curry and I think the smell got out and a neighbor like shouted or was being rude to them. So that was very interesting commentary there. Another thing is when at the highlight of the story is that Zarina followed this male character guy, I think he's a mixed Indonesian, to a club and was almost got assaulted. And here's the thing, it's not our culture to be going clubbing and stuff like that. And from there she realized and reconciled that about her roots and about the cultural differences between the Western culture and also her own Eastern heritage, or in this case Malaysian heritage, as a Malay Muslim especially. And I think that's very interesting because Aku Anak Timur shows that Zarina has some sense of, or a sense of agency here. She's the character that moves the plot instead of the plot moving Zarina, because eventually she owns her stance and her principles in reconciling the differences or the disconnect that she had to face through while in Netherlands, which I think is very interesting. Then for my second and third year as a Form 2 and Form 3 student is Kapten Hassan Wira Bangsa and also Merdeka. Honestly, sorry not sorry, I think this is my problem. I'm the problem here. I couldn't really get into Kapten Hassan Wira Bangsa. Yes, I DNF it. I couldn't finish it before the stipulated timeline. I tried, like I forced myself reading it, but the material or the writing was just so dry. It was really just describing his life. And yes, it is told in a biographical way, but it just felt like an additional history textbook. Like we already have to study history, and then there's another on top of it, which is focused solely on one person, up to like 200 pages, I think 100 to 200 pages, I don't remember, but it was just so long and so dry. But props to the Wikipedia page, I think it's justified to have a long structure here. Like it really do justice for Kapten Hassan here, because he is an actual person, and the author biographies his life, which I think is very interesting and something to take note of about our soldiers and warriors who fought. In this case, Kapten Hassan, he fought the communists during the Zaman Darurat in Malaysia, and I think it was very patriotic. Of course, it really talked about patriotism and about the fight and the sacrifice that he had to go in order to achieve independence for our country. Same with Merdeka. I guess in Kapten Hassan it was all about fighting the communists. In Merdeka was more about fighting the British colonization, especially in more of the late 50s, I guess, or the late 40s to 50s, because at this point the character was already fighting for the Malayan Union, and they managed eventually establish UMNO at the time, something like that. These two stories, I'm the problem here, okay? I believe there's nothing wrong, I guess. I wish the writing could be more interesting or engaging at least, but it is what it is. I can't complain. Let's get on to the next one. This one is gonna be problematic. Okay, let's see. As I mentioned, okay, so I tick off Kapten Hassan Wira Bangsa, and I tick off Merdeka. As you can see, the timeline here, I think some of y'all can try to gauge my age at this point. I've got Azfa Hanani. Okay, I need to look at my notes. Azfa Hanani, oh dear. It has a long Wikipedia page. I feel it's so unfair as compared to Anak Timur here. At this point, y'all can tell Anak Timur owns a special place in my heart, or at least something that I can remember by in my high school days. But Azfa Hanani is something that I can't believe I remember it, even though it's so problematic. It has some problematic undertone. I don't blame you if you can't really see it, or for me, I feel personally maybe attacked in some ways. So it started off with the Prince and Pauper vibe, meaning she's a poor orphan girl, trauma character here, poor orphan girl who was somehow chosen because she looked similar to this one dead rich girl. Yep, I am very harsh on this, but they asked her to disguise as the dead daughter for their mother, who somehow cannot accept the death of the daughter. So she's basically got whisked away from her rural village and been given the access and privilege and opportunity to study and work her way to the top, because she is apparently a diligent student also. So they realize her potential, and she learned the ways of the rich people. Okay, maybe not. She gets along based because the circle of the dead daughter's friend is also from a rich circle. So she learned about, some people hating her, some people liking her, petty school drama. And then this is where, oh god, I need to find that. Where is it? Eventually, with this kind of story, I'm not so sure how the Prince and Pauper vibe goes, but I know in like the Barbie version of the Princess and Pauper story is that their identity got exposed when one of them was disguising, and in this case, she got exposed by the mother herself that was devastated about the dead daughter's, death. And here's the thing that I kind of don't like, because I really, there's two problematic things here to me, and that is the retribution from the wealthy people lacks depth, and the poor people portrayal was very, to me, a bit harmful in this case. And not I'm saying harmful like physically harmful, but hear me out. First of all, the retribution. It is very convenient that the rich mom here, Datin Mazia here, suddenly for their, the resolve of the third conflict act, like Azfa's identity was exposed, she had to go back to her rural village, and she was kind of content going back to the way she was. But then Datin Mazia came and apologized to her, and then be like, I'm so sorry, I was the one that roadkill your parents. And I'm like, okay. And then suddenly she was like, let me make it up to you. You are also like my daughter that I breastfeed. And I'm just like, okay. And then after that, and I don't understand here that Datin Mazia thinks she can redeem herself is to invite Azfa Hanani back to come live with them. And then here's to me, it feels weak here because the way that this rich family treated or have the underlying tone of looking down on poor people was problematic to me. And the way that she redeemed herself in front of Azfa Hanani was only because of that particular history or accident that they shared. And to me, it just it's too convenient for the plot. That's for sure. And secondly, it just doesn't resolve like the issue that, or the mindset that some of these rich people have towards the people in need or the poor people or someone that is lower than them. Because like you only came to reach out your hand because it felt like an obligation to me. Like it wasn't something that you did it sincerely and genuinely. But yeah, that's my take. Secondly, about the poor people portrayal, I'm like skimming through back the synopsis, and I think one of the male love interests or potential love interests was, I guess, a commoner or someone who is not in the rich people circle. And at the time, I don't remember, one of the family members of Azfa Hanani's, like, I guess, foster family was not keen on her being close to that guy because he was like not from a wealthier background. And then you know what the resolve was? It turns out he was not poor. He was also a family of both mom and dad being professors. And I'm just like, that's so convenient. That's even more annoying because it just like cement down that as long as you're poor or you are from a poor background, you would never live up to that rich lifestyle or the higher class of society. And I just think that's rude. That's just it's just problematic in itself, because the way it tried to resolve itself is saying that, oh no, he wasn't poor all along. And I'm just like, and then finally that's when their parents or family member could accept the relationship. And I'm just like, that's not supposed to be it. Which is, it's just bad because it doesn't show there's any a proper retribution. Like the parents didn't really accept or bless this male character's relationship with this Azfa because he was a good person on his own, but it's because they realized that, oh, he has a blue blood background, so you're good. Like he ticked that box, but it's just it's just bad. It's just bad. Okay. And then another thing, okay, this one is funny, and this is why I got the idea of doing this video, because I was having conversation previously with my former housemate and a good friend of mine, Alwin, shout out to her. And then I have some further discussion at morning breakfast with my mom about her own Komsas experience. And then for my friend Alwin, we have this problematic one called Papa Akhirnya Kau Tewas Jua. Now, the title of this premise is very, very interesting. It basically says, Papa, alas, you lost. I thought that was really good, the title. But boy, and this is also another unfair Wikipedia page, like how the hell is so long compared to, again, Anak Timur? What is this? So unfair. Injustice. Now, let's continue. Okay, here's the thing. The story is basically about Intan Julia and her life with her dad and her comatose mother, Intan Maliana, and their maid, Makcik Noriani. And that's it. Okay. If you bear with me as I go through the Wikipedia here. It says here, this para is very problematic, very, very problematic. It says the mother was pregnant for the second time to fulfill the wish of their father on wanting another child. And then, okay, I mean, you see here, I don't know from this sentence, it can be inferred in a lot of ways. And for me, it inferred that there was no proper consent or proper communication being made about wanting another child. Like both the mom and dad should have, talked it out, I guess. Then the other party, which is their teacher and their maid, actually wanted the mother to not, how to say, they actually don't want the mother to get pregnant again, because apparently 17 years ago the female character, the female protagonist here, also, like, her mother had complication giving birth to infant Julia. And then here's the thing, these two outside character, they're both women who is trying to help out in some way or give advice to the mother to not get, to don't be pregnant again, or like for your own health and life. At this point it was about her life, but look, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place, but it's very it's so misogynistic in this kind of society, or the way the story is telling. And here's the funny thing, when I don't know how other people survive in reading this as part of their Komsas curriculum, but I bet they didn't even bother critically dissecting this particular scene or concern or commentary here. Because I think the other concern was what? I don't know. I honestly don't know what was the point or the moral value from this freaking story. But it is so wrong here, because it shows the mother here lack any agency. She couldn't be... I don't know. I can't infer from this synopsis or from the story that she has any agency to make the decision whether to have the child or not. Then because of that, she went into a comatose having the second child. Oh dear. And then after that, I don't know how, this is the effed up part, the dad remarries, I guess. The dad remarries while the mother is in comatose. Can anyone, let me know how problematic this is? Long story short, the mother somehow woke up from her comatose state and then realized that the dad remarries, of course collapsed, and I don't remember, she died maybe? I don't know. Yeah, she died. And then the father named Jeffrey here was so devastated about the loss of his first wife, have tears in his eyes, because he never ever shed a tear, and therefore, alas, Papa, you lost. And alas, this is very, very wasting my time if I were that student that was assigned to study Papa, Akhirnya Kau Terus Jua. Luckily, my state didn't receive this particular novel. I don't know how, but I guess it's like one of the YouTubers, Cindy, she really says that if she had to read some garbage of a story, it better be juicy and engaging. Maybe it is engaging, I don't know. There's just some effed up points here. There's no agency from the mother. The dad is a douche. What else can I say? Yeah, close. Then the last one, I guess, is what is it? So you see, this was, I guess, my friend was assigned this one. I was assigned this one. The last one of my year is Kembara Amira. This one I really don't remember much. I think it was just decent, I guess. It's a story about the Amira's adventure, accompanying her mom, her professor mom, in I don't remember, excavating something at the indigenous site, and they discover some kind of gold mine there. Not so sure. There was something about like also preserving the environment theme going on. But yeah, not much I can remember about the story. How lackluster of me. It couldn't leave me a lasting memory or something memorable, but I think it was quite alright. This story, I guess. Yeah, it shows. I mean, for once, Amira is not very traumatic character from Azfa Hanani, and her mom and her other family member or the people around her is not super problematic as like Julia's family. The next one, it's just a short one because it's something that struck out to me in my memory, and when I remember when I mentioned about anthology. So one of the most memorable anthology for me was Sehijau, Warna, Daun, and then we have here is Digarhayu, Bahasaku. That one is my like senior high, the last anthology that I would be reading for my school. And one of the Hikayat or the classics stories is called Hikayat Lalang, Buana, and boy, this one is also problematic AF. It's basically about Romeo and Juliet, but way destructive. Like it caused a war, a freaking bloodshed. Like look at the synopsis, okay? It says it tells a story about Tuan Putri Mandu Ratna Dewi, the princess here, okay? Basically a princess. And yada 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 met or fall in love with this Raja Indra Bumaya. And then what the princess father doesn't like Raja Indra Bumaya. In fact, they're enemies, I guess. They're like from enemies territory. And yeah, Raja Bahrum Dewa, I think didn't bless them, their relationship. I mean, come on. This dude is very problematic here. Like, he freaking hid behind a tree when she was showering, I guess. It's not romantic, please. It's problematic, okay? And then the freaking princess with her blind love, or oh god, I don't know, been seduced maybe by the freaking prince, just declare her love and refused to listen to her father and wanted to follow Raja Indra Bumaya here. And then like the father obviously go berserk and straight away ordered a freaking like troops. And then here's the thing, here the freaking pertempuran caused pertumpahan darah yang dahsyat. What are you trying to tell me? At least Romeo and Juliet just kill each other. I mean, that one is also problematic because they take their own life. But this one is also even worse. You cause a bloodshed. Jeez. Oh my god. Oh god. This is one of them. Needless to say, it was problematic. Either way, I just don't get it. Why every problematic thing that I have faced, and then the one thing that was kind of good to me, have a short Wikipedia page? Unfair. Justice for aku, Anak Timur, please. So that's it from me. Please let me know in the comments below what are your Komsas experience, what are the good ones, the bad ones, or the one that you couldn't finish or made you bored. And stay tuned for the next one.